All right, so why don't you try to speak so that we can check if you can use your microphone. You know what? I consider that it is very important, really basic, that you can use your microphone so that this is a conversation class. Of course, there are more options. For example, we can be working with chat, but of course, it would be preferable that we are able to use the microphones, that we could really speak and talk. Yes, can you use your microphone? This is why it is important that you have your microphone. As I told you before, we can use the chat, but it would be preferable if you would be able to speak. So please do me a favor. Let's write in the chat who you are and what you do, where you are from. I could make a little example for you. And I would say, well, hello, I am Agiergot. I am an English teacher, an English language teacher. I am from Mexico City, and I regularly teach online. Okay, well, this is a short example, so simple. Why don't you write something for me? Okay, remember that this is a conversation class. Hello, Elizabeth. Excellent. So you wrote, hello, I am Elizabeth Caballero Garcia. I am a teacher. I'm from Mexico City. Excellent. All right. You know what, Elizabeth? Today we are going to work about habits. Here we go. Well, first of all, I will tell you that people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. What do you think about it? Do you agree? Please write it down. Do you agree with this quote? All right, yes, of course, because the people decide their habits. Excellent. But what's the relation between habits and the future? What do you think about it? Please, could you explain me if it has any relationship? I mean, the habits and their futures? All right, so the habits decide the future of people because all the activities that they realize reflect in the future. Hey, excellent, yes. And look at this. Well, I consider that whenever we talk about our habits, we are talking also about what we regularly do, what we um, are used to do about food, about exercise, about our lifestyle, well, everything. And well, here we are having some frequency adverbs. So we have always, usually, sometimes, often, never, once, twice, three times, several times, every day, every Sunday, every year. I don't know if you have any doubt about any of them. Uh, I guess, well, there wouldn't be any problem about them. Maybe about their meaning or how to use them. What do you think about it? Excellent. My opinion about the adverbs of frequency, they are used for expressing the times that someone realize some activities. Example, she always gets up at 5:30 a.m. Excellent. Pretty good. Yes, I consider that there's no problem about it. Well, as a feedback, remember that the verb realize means into Spanish something like darse cuenta. So maybe we could use instead do. Someone do some activities. All right. So let's go to the next part. Well, I don't consider that it would be necessary to do these exercises. Well, they are about where the frequency adverb should be located. But as far as I can see, you use it pretty well. So let's go to the next. Elizabeth, I have a question. The question is, how often do you go to the doctor? Please talk to me about how you take care of your own health. All right, pretty good. I go to the doctor once a year. Excellent. And what about, I don't know, for example, doing exercise? Do you exercise? Do you regularly exercise? Well, you know what? It is very common among we teachers. We are so busy all of the time, so we don't have time for doing many things. So, Elizabeth, tell me, is there anything that you would like to do, that you would really like to do, and you don't have time for doing it? Oh, yes. Well, my question is, um, would you like, yes, that's the question. Would you like to do something so nice for yourself, but you don't have time for doing it? Hey, welcome, Toshiba. What's
You're
your name?
welcome. My name is Veronica.
Vero, welcome. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Excellent. I'm very happy to listen to you.
My name is Veronica. I am working in Colegio de Bachilleres.
Excellent. Welcome to our class. Please, Vero, uh, what's the school you are working in? It's Bachilleres 2 or Bachilleres 4?
Bachilleres number 7.
Where is it?
Number 7, I had working 10 years old.
Oh, great.
I have working 10 years old.
But where is it? Where, is it next to Satélite? No, that's number 4. Where is Bachilleres 7?
7.
Yeah, where is it?
Where is he? Stapalapa.
Oh, yes, very good. And where do you live?
I live in Iztacalco.
Oh, so it is not so far from school.
It's very far. 20 minutes and 60 minutes from my house.
Well, okay, that's good. All right. You know what? Today we are talking about habits. We are talking about the activities that you do for taking care of your own health. We are talking to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I introduce you to Vero. Vero, I introduce you to Elizabeth. And you know what? We are talking about it. Elizabeth said, I would like to do something, but it is impossible for me. But I don't have time because I have to take care of my son. All right. You know what? Maybe Elizabeth is having some problems with her microphone. So that's why she is writing. But she can listen to you and to me. So why don't we talk to her? Why don't you introduce yourself to Elizabeth?
Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
All right. So, Vero, thank you very much. Have you seen the chat? Do you see where the chat is?
Sí, nice to meet you.
All right, excellent.
Nice to meet you, Vero.
All right, excellent. So please do me a favor. Um, why don't you share with us what you do for taking care of your health? In this case, we were talking about going to the doctor or doing exercise. Do you go to the doctor or do you do exercise?
To the doctor?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Vero? How often do you go to the doctor?
I sometimes to go to the doctor when I am very sick.
Oh my.
How
Okay.
often? I'm sometimes once a month only.
That's it. You know what? I think that sometimes we do some things for taking care of our health, but whenever we are really sick, and it is not because we don't love ourselves. I consider that it is due to the excessive work we have. I was talking to Elizabeth about that topic that we teachers are busy all the time. So sometimes we don't have time for taking care of our own health. And you know what? It is something strange because whenever we talk about reforma educativa, all of the things that we have to do you remember that the RIEMS in 2018 talked about the competencias docentes? In, I
Yes.
think it was Acuerdo 444, and they said that previous to teaching something, we have to have it. So if we are developing competences in our students, we have to be competent. And what some of the competences are to take care of our health. But I don't know, How in the world can we take care of our health, or how can we be doing exercise if we don't have time? Well, that's something that I think. That's what I consider, but I don't know. What do you think about it?
What I'm thinking about is I think it's very important to the competence for the students. Sometimes to the change to the something in the school about mm, maybe you say have something in the class.
Mm,
Hmm.
it could be, but you know what? I mean that we have to teach students not only to take into consideration some aspects of education, like the knowledges, all of the information, but also with our examples, our own examples. We have to be competent in what we are teaching our students. And some of the competences are to take care of themselves. So how
I
could,
think it's very
yes,
important for the students thinking
the,
about the competence the student to the change many think about this.
excellent. So here, Elizabeth wrote, I think the competences are very important to develop in the students and in the
Oh,
teachers. Excellent. I go by that. I go for that too. I agree. So what do you think about it, Vero?
I
About
think
what? Yes, I'm sorry.
I think I'm sorry. I think it's very important for the student to develop for the competence. Many times, sometimes think, for example, I don't know, maybe
Yeah, but if we don't take care of our health, how can we tell our students to do it? That's my question. An example, if I don't know how to read or how to write, I can't teach anybody to do it. So
yes.
if I don't take care of my health, I can't teach the others to do it because I don't do it. Or what do you think about it, Elizabeth and Vero?
Mm,
All right, so Elizabeth wrote, competences are intensively discussed in the context. Excellent. I agree. I do agree. What do you think about it, Vero?
the competence for the student is are very necessary for the class.
Well, yes. And talking about that, well, I would like to talk about ourselves. What do we do? For example, well, I would like to ask you, how often eat vegetables? Vero and Elizabeth, how often do you eat vegetables? And how do you eat them?
For me, always eat vegetables because I don't like to eat meat.
Are you vegetarian?
Yes,
Excellent.
I don't like to eat meat. Never. I never eat eat to meat. I don't like.
All right, excellent. All right,
Always to eat some vegetable in my meal, in my food every day.
excellent. Okay, thank you. So Elizabeth says that she always eats vegetables, but she combines them with meat, fish, and chicken. Hey, good. All right, so Vero, why don't you talk to us about it? What could it be a perfect meal for you? What's the combination you do?
Okay, the combination for me is sometimes to eat only fish with some vegetables and chicken, but the meat, the pork chop, I don't like, and the bitter don't like it. Only fish and chicken in my food.
Hey, that's it. For example, I think that you like to eat salad.
Salad with the rice and some fish and chicken in my dish.
Excellent, pretty good. So, all right. So, what about exercise? Do you exercise regularly? All right. So, how often do you exercise? You both, Elizabeth and Vero. How often do you exercise?
I sometimes to practice exercise every day in the afternoon.
Hey, that's pretty good. And what kind of exercise do you do?
Only to practice the Monday and Friday. I never practice on Saturday and Sunday. I don't practice exercise
All right, pretty good. What do you do on weekend?
on weekend because on weekend I sometimes go with the cinema with my son and my husband. And sometimes go to the shopping and sometimes go with my house. I have a small house in Cuautla.
Wow, beautiful. Hey, that's great. All right. So, well, Elizabeth says that she never does exercise. Elizabeth, my question, what do you do during the weekend? What do you regularly do on the weekends? Somebody asked me one day, Maggie, what do you regularly do during the weekend? And you know what I said? For me, it was so surprising to find out that I am a workaholic. My answer was during the weekend, I work. Jesus Christ, it is necessary to be crazy to be working every day. But yes, that's what I do. I during the weekends I work. I have classes in a university, and I prepare my lesson plans. I prepare also some material for my students in the preparatory school.
I do my husband. I cook.
All right, so Elizabeth wrote, I go shopping, I visit my parents, I do my lessons, I cook. Excellent, pretty good. All right, so why don't you talk to me about what you like doing? Because, for example, all of these habits, good food, exercise, taking care of our health, going to the doctor, are necessary, they are mandatory. But what about for pleasure? Okay, here we have some suggestions. We have films, swimming, sewing, crafting, quilting, photos, playing instruments, tennis, writing. There are many things that we can do for pleasure as leisure activities. Do you do any?
Activities. I sometimes to swim when I stay in my home, Cuautla, because I have a small beach and
Pool.
sometimes some swimming pool.
Hey, great. That's beautiful. Okay.
With my son, practice tennis, maybe in the weekends.
Hey, that's beautiful. All right. So, Elizabeth, what do you do for pleasure as leisure activities?
I was cooking sometimes with my son.
Okay. So I always cook. I always cook. All right. I sometimes play with my son. Excellent, Elizabeth. Pretty good. I sometimes swim. All right. Hey, Maggie, what are you doing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here it is. Okay. A little feedback. We have to say I sometimes swim. We can't say, oh my, swim. We can't say I sometimes swimming because swimming, it's a present participle. It could be yo algunas veces nadando o yo algunas veces natación. So that's why we shouldn't use it. All right. Okay, so wouldn't you like to practice sewing? Don't you like? Don't you like sewing?
Don't you like swimming? Swimming, I don't like.
You know what? I remember that long time ago, my granny, well, both my granny, my mother's mother and my father's mother insisted a lot about me to learn how to sew. And they said that every woman should do it. Nowadays, it has changed. We don't have the same uses. But I don't know. Yes.
For example, I don't like to play football.
To play football or soccer?
I don't like to play for soccer. I don't like to watch the beaches.
All right, yes.
I don't like it very much.
Yeah, Sometimes it tends to be, well, not very comfortable to do. All right. So, and what about sewing? I remember that my grandmother used to tell me, you know what? You have to do all of the clothes of your family, you yourself. And I said, no, no way, but I can buy it. I can go to the mall and I can buy the clothes for my children. And my grandmommy said, no, a good woman should do herself all the clothes of her family. Well, of course, those times have changed. Nowadays, it doesn't work. What do you think about it?
Mm, I in general. Mm,
All right. Tell me, what does your family like doing? For example, I don't know, Elizabeth, do you have children? Vero, do you have children? Little children?
yes, I have one children. I have one
One child.
child.
Oh, how old is he? Or, well, is a he or a she?
Yes, he is 10 years old.
Oh, good. He's a little baby, so beautiful.
My
And
child,
Elizabeth says, my child is 3 years old. Hey, that's beautiful. That's so gorgeous. Elizabeth, how old are you? And Vero, how old are you?
I am 46 years old. I am 46 years old.
Hey, that's good. And Elizabeth says, I'm 39 years old. Hey, that's beautiful. All right, pretty good. And so, what do you prefer doing with your children? Well, you have already told me, Elizabeth, that you like to be playing, but what are your favorite games with your son? And what
Mm,
about you, Vero?
My my son is prefer to practice baseball. Baseball every Friday.
Hey, that's good. And is he playing with any team?
Anything? Yes, in the school, and we other team in the sport field. Churubusco, Churubusco only to the Friday in the afternoon.
Hey, that's great. Pretty good. And so, what about you, Elizabeth? What does your child prefer doing with you?
Bingo, próximo memory. Ah, pero está chiquito.
I play bingo, puzzle, memory. Excellent. So, you like board games. And how often do you watch television?
Mm, in the afternoon, he always watch television in the afternoon when he finish the homework.
Oh, when he finishes his homework. That's great.
Homework.
That's pretty good. And okay, so Elizabeth says, I rarely watch television. Oh, that's pretty good. Well, just when you watch television anytime, what's your favorite program or what kind of programs do you like to watch?
Mm, mm, mm. My son sometimes to watch the cartoons, El Chavo del Ocho, the cartoon sometimes for
Okay.
him.
Uh-huh. That's good. That's pretty good. Well, Elizabeth shared with us, I watch Animal
Uh-huh.
Geographic news. My son watches Paw Patrol.
Watches. Some
Okay,
watch,
yes. Hey, that's pretty good.
some
And
watch.
what is that program? Paw Patrol. What is it about? And Vero, could you write also what is it? Well, I have barely watched television also, and I don't remember a lot about El Chavo del Ocho. What is it about? Could you write it down?
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon with the for him as a favorite is watch the cartoon. I don't know.
All
It's
right, pretty good. So, well, Elizabeth wrote, it is a cartoon about dogs. Is it something about the life of dogs? Or is it something like love between dogs? For example, like La Dama y el Vagabundo. I remember the lady and uh, is it something similar about love between dogs or what is it about?
very similar.
And yes, Vero, is what is it? Well, you told me that you don't know what is it about, but
Yeah.
what is your favorite TV program? What you
My favorite program is mm, my favorite program is talking about cultural specific um, any adventure, something about any place. For example, in the channel 11, talking about the Canada is adventure with the tourists for the Canada. I like it very much. Only
hey,
to the Wednesday,
it's so interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, so well, Elizabeth wrote that Paw Patrol is a cartoon about dogs and it is a group of 6 dogs and they have a lot of adventures. Hey, that's nice. So, are they friends or are they kind of like superheroes? Well, you know what? Sometimes many things because of pleasure, because we like doing them. So, what do you, Elizabeth and Vero, what do you like doing when you have a little free time? Of course,
Mhm.
besides preparing lesson plans and
Mhm.
I don't know, what do you like doing for you yourself?
Okay. Mm, mm, and sometimes I have to my when I have a free times, I like to listen music.
Hey, beautiful.
I like
That's
to
good.
listen music because for me I relax all the day.
That's great. And so, what kind of music do you prefer listening?
I prefer to listen classical
And
because I
yeah,
to relax some activities.
hey, that's great. And who is your favorite classical author?
My favorite classical music are mm, Richard Rederman.
Hey, that's great. Pretty good. All right, thank you. Elizabeth wrote, I sometimes go to the park with my son. I usually play with my son. Hey, that's it. Very good. You know what, Elizabeth? It is very beautiful. Whenever you have little babies like you, a 3-year-old boy, it is so nice to be playing with them. It is something that we really enjoy, and they are part of our minds. I remember that when my children were so little bitty beautiful babies, I used to play with them. Later on, they grew up, they got married, and now I have just my reminds. But yes, now that you have your child with you, enjoy him because whenever they grow up, they disappear. They suddenly disappear. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they do. Well, of course, it is because it is natural. Children must go, they have to do their own lives, but I consider that sometimes it is difficult to accept that they have already grown up. Eh, what I mean is, for example, well, my son, my youngest son, is 23 years old. He is single, but he doesn't live with me. My Gert, my little daughter, is 25 years old and she's married. She has a baby, a 7-year-old baby, and she's all of the time with her family. My little son, my youngest son, is all of the time studying. He's at 2 universities. And so most of the time, I am alone. So for me, my favorite occupation and my favorite leisure activity is to be working. So now that you have your little babies, enjoy them, be happy, because it slips away whenever you realize it has already been over.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe I was.
Have a beautiful family.
Yeah. It is so beautiful to be with your family. I'm very happy with my children. My eldest son is almost 30 years old. He's also a father, but he's all of the time working also. And so I don't see him very often. But yes, it is beautiful to remember the way we used to be playing. It is so nice. So yes, do a lot. Do it a lot. Enjoy them very much. All right.
Uh, how many children do you have?
Well, I have three children, three young
Oh,
adult children.
children. Oh,
Yeah,
very
the first
fantastic.
yeah, the first one is 28 years old. My beautiful daughter is 25 years old. She's married. My eldest son is also married. And my youngest, he's 23 and he's single, but he doesn't live with me. He lives in next to the university. So that's
Mm,
why I just remind, I just remember because they have already gone. All right. You know what? Some people, as leisure activity, used to do genealogy. Have you done genealogy?
genealogy.
Yeah, what is genealogy?
What does mean?
Genealogy means when you, as as a hobby,
A hobbies?
you look for the origin of your family. You investigate about your ancestors. You research for who was your great grandfather. What's the family history, and what's the kinship of your family, what who the siblings or your great grandfather were, and you try to do a database about your family. For example, long time ago I was very interested about knowing what my last name came from, and so I began to look for the names of my great grandfather, my great great grandfather. And you know what? I found that my last names comes from Lebanon, and that during the war, the Cruzadas in Europe, the last name Argot came to Spain. They were in the Basque region, and later on, with the colony, it came to Mexico. It came to Guanajuato. And later on, it came to Mexico City. But we are just a few families who have that last name. But I don't know. I don't know why. It is a very small family. Haven't you investigated about uh, um, your descendants, your lineage?
Mm, mm, I don't know. Mm, mm, mm.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. You say that I have a beautiful family. I thank you very much. I love them so much. All right, and so don't you know anything about your great grandparents? What was their background, where they lived?
For me, I have a small family because I have only one son and my husband. Only, um, I don't know.
All right, it's okay. Well, for some people, genealogy tends to be also something like a hobby. It is just for curiousness that they do that. It is also a hobby, in fact. All right. So I don't know if you have any question. All right. Elizabeth wrote, my grandfather lived in Tlaxcala and he told us some stories about his town. Hey, that's beautiful. You know what? To share stories with our grandparents, with our relatives, it's so nice. All right. Well, have you got any question or would you like to say any comment?
Yes. About the three source. About the three source. No, don't have question. Hi.
About the treasures. Oh. All right, Elisa. Hello. How are you? Okay. So no questions? Or
No
wouldn't you
question.
like to say anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much for your participation. And well, see you next Monday at 7 p.m. And we are going to have our conversation class. Thank you very much. Have a
Okay,
very,
thank you very much.
all right, thank you. Have a very good night.
Thank you.
Thanks to you. Yeah, it's
Okay.
okay. Check your microphone, please, Elisa.